Waldo. Next meeting, we're gonna do 5 chairs. Music stops, you sit.
I have some nights where I like to let somebody else lead the pack.
There you go, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she'll
How
probably
it
sign it
feels.
before she gives it to him.
Best behavior, sorry.
We ready?
Oh, yeah?
I'd like to call to order this council meeting of July 19, 2016. Please join me in saying the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go ahead and go with roll call.
Counselor Albert,
Here.
Counselor Colby,
Here.
Counselor Ward,
Here.
Counselor McTevier,
Yeah.
Counselor Bickford,
Yeah.
Counselor Crafts is excused.
Yep.
Counselor Brunel,
Okay, now before we start, I want to explain what's going on. After being here for, well, this is my 6th year, I think I chaired a meeting for a half a time last year. So I have come up with a little scheme that I am going to, in alphabetical order, and I am a graduate of Lisbon High School, and A is number 1. I'm going to, every meeting up through, I'm going to let one, if they want to, they don't have to, but I'm going to give the opportunity for all the members to chair a meeting. And that's why Mr. Albert is here. And guess who's on the,
Be the
who's
ballot
next?
box and all.
Guess who's
On deck,
next
on
on the
deck.
list?
He's on deck.
So, if you want to, you will be the next meeting,
Sure.
okay? So we'll, and we're gonna go around that way, and then, if anybody doesn't wanna do it, I will, take up the slack. So, that's what, okay,
Next item, Twyla.
is good news and recognition.
Okay. Have a resolution here supporting, recognizing, and honoring the services of law enforcement officers. And before I read it, I would like to suspend the rules to vote on the resolution. That's okay?
If there's no objection, that you'd like to add this item to the agenda, correct?
So, yeah, are there any objections to adding the resolution to the agenda?
Nope.
No objection?
Okay. Resolution supporting, recognizing, and honoring the services of law enforcement officers. Whereas, in light of recent events throughout our nation directed toward law enforcement by many who have demonstrated a reckless disregard for the lives and safety of law enforcement officers. Whereas, from responding to emergencies, investigating or monitoring criminals, to providing a visible presence to deter crime and reassure the community, law enforcement officers maintain stability in our communities, resulting in a more secure nation. And whereas law enforcement officers in Lisbon, in the state of Maine, and throughout the nation are routinely called upon to serve and protect their fellow citizens by responding to unspeakable events and acting heroically to save the lives of others. Whereas, in addition to the physical dangers officers must deal with, they must always be ready for the unknown. Officers need to remain vigilant and prepared for any circumstance that develops. Rarely does an officer have time to fully prepare for the emergency call for service. They must constantly adapt to the demands of an ever-changing environment by relying on their training and making split-second decisions based on developing situations. Whereas, it is necessary for public officials and our citizens to support our law enforcement officers who face a multitude of dangers in their everyday duties to serve and protect. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Lisbon Town Council of the Town of Lisbon in the County of Androscoggin in the State of Maine that they declare their support, recognize, and honor the men and women who serve as law enforcement officers for their difficult and sometimes impossible job to protect all, and for their distinctive service and dedicated efforts earning our highest respect and deepest gratitude for upholding justice in Lisbon in the State of Maine and in this nation.
I need a motion.
To adopt.
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0. Okay.
And while we're still in good news and recognition, I just want to jump on something. Although we just got some rather just no, sad news. The boys that went down to Massachusetts for the 12 and under Babe Ruth League, they lost a close-fought game to I think it was 8-7 was the final piece, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to recognize them again somewhere down the line. But it was a hard-fought contest, and I'm sure that they gave everything they had and left it all on the field. So good job, boys. You made Lisbon proud. Next item.
Is under public hearings, the yard sale ordinance.
So let's go ahead and open the public hearing at this time on the yard sale ordinance. Anyone?
No comments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure, if you want. Go ahead, Don. Yeah, sure.
One time I didn't do this, and we should have, so. I just wanted to, during the hearing, to state what the purpose of the yard sale was again, or yard sale revision to Chapter 70. This was originally part of the property maintenance ordinance, but we split it out last year due to some need to refine it and because there were some things that needed to be discussed. But the purpose of it was mainly safety issues and for parking and things like that, as well as to somewhat protect those who pay on license fees to operate vendors in a things like flea markets in a continuing basis. And one of the things that I heard just recently, just 2 or 3 days ago, was I was listening to radio and I heard it's either Westbrook or one of the towns in that area was thinking or was seriously considering developing a yard sale ordinance because of forever yard sales. So, and they had mentioned that they were going to do 3 days and not 4 because they thought there was a state law about 3 days. I couldn't find anything in that, and our attorney didn't indicate that. But so what's going on with that is that's why we've done it. We've split this in 2 areas between yard sales, which are a limited time and for a limited number of occasions, and then there's the used merchandise sale, which is slightly different and can be authorized by permit. So that's what this is about.
Thank you, Don. Anyone else? Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. When you come up, just go ahead and state your name and address.
Yeah, this is my first time here, so please bear with me.
Take as much time as you need.
My name is Nancy Sanborn, and I do yard sales just a little ways up the road here, kind of diagonally across from MT Pools. And I do them not for myself. Matter of fact, I talked to your code enforcement officer the other day, and he said, I think you ought to go and talk to them and tell them what the board and tell them what you're doing. And so I came tonight to do that and to show you even some pictures if you have time to listen. What happens is, like I said, I don't do them for myself. I don't take any money whatsoever for me. Everything goes to 2 different ministries, Food for the Poor Ministries and Voice of the Martyrs, both of those. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about that. Also, I had heard that you're making some new, and I guess that's what this man was referring to, new rules and whatever. And I really request that I hope that somebody like myself that is not earning one penny of it at all and is really just interested in doing for these 2 ministries, I hope, you know, that there won't be any restrictions to my doing. What I wanted to share with you, do you have time to see
Absolutely. That's what
some
that's what
pictures?
the public hearings.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I don't know where the place, maybe up there in this chair.
Sure, that's fine.
Thank you. Food for the Poor does an awful lot for these people. It's the main office is in Coconut Creek, Florida. We can pull both of those up online, and it'll show you exactly what they do. We are, in our country right now, we are so blessed as far as, in our country, that is, as far as doing for the poor. They have food banks and food kitchens, and just the other day on the news, I heard of someone in Lewiston that was helping children to have food during the summer because they weren't going to school, and so they needed to have food there. Unfortunately, in a lot of the countries that Food for the Poor work with, that's not the case. Many of them are eating out of dumps. Matter of fact, I got a picture here I want to show. They go in and eat out of dumps because that's the only way they have of having food. And you can see here that that's what they do. And they go in, and like this young man here, he took a bottle of tea, half a bottle of tea. Because you see on some of those countries, on one side of the island, there's resorts. And on the other side of the island, it's the poorest of the poor. And when you're eating out of dumps, I don't know of anybody in America that's doing that. They may be, but I just don't hear about them because we have been blessed. And so anyway, this young man might very well take, that bottle of tea that he finds in the dump, part of it, and drink it, and then they end up with parasites and swollen bellies. I think I've got some pictures here of some. And it's really very difficult. The parents sometimes, in this particular case here, this was a grandmother that's taking care of all these children because her daughter died, and the husband just ran off and left them all. So that they help in that way, they help them. They build houses, little small houses, but they're nevertheless, I mean, to them, it's a wonderful thing. Ordinarily, they would live, I don't know if you can see from there, but they would live, they go into the dump and they get pieces of scrap metal or pieces of tarp, and they put it together and they sew it with some string like this, and that's what they live in. And we're talking sometimes 4 or 5 children with them. And so, like I said, Food for the Poor goes in and they build little small houses for them. Another area would be drinking water. The drinking water, they don't have good drinking water in many of these countries, whether it's in Nicaragua, El Salvador, any of them in Central America. And so they go in and they do, they build water wells, or I should say, just dig water wells for them. And so then the whole town can come and get clean drinking water. Because if they drink the water, then there's, like I said, there's parasites and all kinds of things that hurt them. And it's just, it motivates me. It motivates me to do something about it. And they also have orphanages because a lot of children are on the street. They have no parents whatsoever. So they have orphanages in a lot of these different countries that I just mentioned. And do that, help them that way. Like I say, you would have to look at these to see what I'm saying probably, but it's very, very difficult for them. And this particular case here, there's a little hole here with some water in it. She goes down there and she bathes in that water, and then they have to wash their clothes, and sometimes they even have to drink, stuff like this, because that's the only water they have. So like I said, there's so many things that Food for the Poor does for people, for those people. And another, what I do usually, whatever comes in as money, I take and cut it in half and send half to Food for the Poor and half to Voice of the Martyrs, because Voice of the Martyrs also helps the poor and the fatherless and the widows. And in their case, they go in when, for instance, a pastor gets killed for his faith by Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, whatever. And they go in and they help the widow and the children, if there's any children. And if there's not a man-child in the family, in those countries, it makes it very difficult, like in Africa, for instance, and other countries similar. little boy here, I believe it was either Al-Qaeda or Boko Haram, I'm trying to remember. They came into this man's, this little boy's church, and they set off a bomb, and it killed most of the people, including his mom and dad. And he didn't have, the bomb apparently just took his feet right off, both feet. And so they go in and they put, what they call prosthesis for them, and that's what they do, part of what they do. And they also help with medical care if they need any. Probably you heard not too long ago about Boko Haram coming in and taking, I think it was them that abducted all those young girls and took them right away from their families. Well, once in a while, one of those people like that will get away. And when they do, Voice of the Martyrs comes in and takes them to a safe house so that they can get their mind back together, because it's really very difficult, very difficult. So that's just one of many things that they do, and certainly just a few of what Food for the Poor does. But that's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I just respectfully ask that I would be able to continue doing that. The person that is loaning me the spot, it's not mine, I don't own it. Karen and Ken Hodgkins, you may know who I mean. They're right up there, like I say, diagonally across from MP Pools. And they're the ones that own that spot. And before Ken died, he told me, I want you to go use that little, it's a little vegetable stand. Basically, it used to be a vegetable stand. And so that's what I've been doing all this time. So, and people come from all over. I've had them come from northern Maine. I've had them come from down east, from Bath, from Brunswick, Topsom. You know, when they find out what I'm doing it for, they make a point of coming. And Norway, South Paris, Lewiston, just all over. And you know, I'm thankful for that. I really am thankful, because they also want to do, and even the ones that are donating, and I never know what's coming in, but the ones that are donating are also helping this. You know, even though I'm taking my time, which to me, it's a labor of love. That's how I feel about it. And, but they're helping also by donating. And then also I heard something about, well, people were concerned about accidents happening, you know, with the yard sales. Well, I specifically asked God before I started that he would help so nobody would get hurt coming in or leaving. And so far I haven't seen one since I've been there. There's been no accident, except a cat went across the road and got killed, which we felt awful bad about that.
That didn't have to do with it.
But it didn't have to do with the sale, right? Right. But anyway, that's basically it. I implore you,
May I add? I'm Daniel Buck Souls from Daniel Buck Auctions, Appraisals, and Fine Art Gallery, and I've known Nancy now for more than a couple of years, and I will tell you, as she said, she takes everything in on donation. She sells everything, and every penny of it goes to these two charities. As long as I've known Nancy, she has spent countless thousands of hours to do this. This is not for any benefit of hers whatsoever. It's in a vegetable stand that was used previously. There were people that were driving in and out of there regularly when it was a vegetable stand. This is something that, you know, she's not trying to impede on anyone else who's doing business, any business whatsoever in town. Strictly is something she's trying to do to raise funds to help these two organizations. And through our church, the Lisbon Falls Baptist Church, she does help a great deal. It's surprising how many thousands of dollars have been donated because of Nancy. So I wanted to stand up and just say to you folks, listen, you know, this is not something she's trying to make difficult for anyone else, impede on anyone else's business. It strictly is just to try to benefit these people in the world that we need to help.
we need to sometimes get out of our comfort zone, you know, because like I say, we have so much here in America, which I'm so thankful for. these people don't. And, I just thought I'd come tonight and show you a little bit about what's happening in other parts of the world. And anyway, thank you for taking your time and listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to have Don come up again.
Sure.
Seems as though in some of the meetings that I've attended that this was brought up about this particular area, a particular thing. Is that, I mean, is this can go on with the permit part of the ordinance, couldn't it?
One of the concerns was special circumstances, so that the whole bath didn't get thrown out with, or the baby didn't get thrown out with the bath water.
Right.
There's a category called a used merchandise sale, which is not a yard sale, which complies in most areas the same as a yard sale, except it's longer. And it's a permitted thing. There's a fee that's, I think, equal to a quarter of that's required of the flea market people.
Outside, the outside,
Yeah.
because I know there's an outside and inside, so I'll
Unless
clarify.
the organization is a 501(c), and so that can be permitted without a fee. The only major concern about some of the locations, and I think that's one of them, is the parking situation. But this particular section of the ordinance, I mean, that's why you're here. If you choose to amend that in any way, you can, but without throwing it out. But I still think that we need to think about safety. That was our codes enforcement officer concerned. And I'm not trying to be the bad guy here, but I think that there may be some locations very close by that may be very accommodating to that type of situation too. There could be I understand the want to do it for free and charity and no charge and all that, but I think there can be some accommodation made in one way or another.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I'm going to ask this question. Would you mind coming back up again? Forgive me, I'm terrible with names. Nancy, thank you. So the reason I asked you to come back up is I want to understand a little bit about Food for the Poor and Voice of the Martyr. Are these both 501c3 recognized nonprofit organizations? Yes. Okay, excellent. So are you a part of their organization, or are you a contributor to?
I just contribute.
Okay, that's what I wanted to understand, because that's where I was trying to see if we could, I didn't want to split hairs here, but I wanted to understand your affiliation, if any, because then that way would help us maybe make some determinations this evening. So it doesn't rule it out, it just makes it a little bit more difficult. And the other side of that is you could always, if you would establish your own 501c3, then that allows that to happen too. But that's neither here nor there. You answered my question, and I thank you. Feel free, go ahead.
May I ask, in the last several years since she's been helping down there as she has been, has there even been anything close to an accident in that area?
I was just going to ask that, if Officer McGee could maybe answer that.
I don't,
Yeah,
I
please
don't know
do.
of any, that's why I'm asking.
Sorry to put you on the spot there, Ryan.
Hey, no problem, that's what I'm here for.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ryan McGee, I work for the Police Department, I'm a sergeant. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of any accidents right there. I haven't run any stats, and it's the first I've heard of
I don't think
it.
so either.
But I can say that I've been here just about 15 years. That particular spot, there's a driveway there, and I have seen cars pulled in there during my shifts. I will say there are other spots on 196, whether it was around Christmas time, some lights. There was like numerous accidents. There was kind of a distraction. I can think of an accident, but for that small stretch of area, I can't think of any issues right there. But I have not run any numbers, but that's just what I go off of memory.
Okay.
Could
Thank
I
you.
add something to this?
Please do.
I don't know her personally, but we've actually donated stuff. My mother moved, we gave them a bunch of stuff. It's a very good cause and what she's been doing, and my wife's been there, and she's bought stuff there, and the only place that she'll never try to talk anybody down is when it's for her, because my wife usually tries to get a bargain, gets less at a yard sale, but because of what the cause is, she never does. But nevertheless, where she's at right now, and I know the lady that the place, at Karen Hodgkins, that place is for sale, and from what I understand, very well may be sold soon, so her time there may not be that long anyways, and I think the best thing, my opinion, is just leave it alone, because I think that's, some point, I hate to see it, that she'd have to leave, and my wife and I already been talking about trying to find her a place to help her out to go somewhere else, because we believe in the cause that she's doing. So, I don't know if there's a way we can just,
I actually
think
think
we
I've got the answer here.
I think Dawn might have it too.
Number
One of
6,
them.
Don?
Yeah. Yeah.
Read
there's-
read
I
number
mean, if
6,
all you
because
have to do is, if you want to modify it, the town council could not be accepted. I mean, it says they can modify anything except these two. Well, if you leave out the except these two, or any one of those, then the town council could do it and not change any of the ordinance. If you, as a town council, wanted to, say, conferred with the police department, and they said this this section of town is, this particular area is safe enough, and you wanted to accept it, you could do that. But you'd have to change this number 6 slightly.
I'm going to be a devil's advocate here, just because I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. If we make that modification and there is an accident there, what is the town's liability?
I'm not the lawyer, I don't know.
No.
but-
I'm just putting it out there
but,
too.
I
More to
don't-
the,
We
yeah.
don't have an ordinance right now. What if there's
We
an
would,
accident?
okay. That's
know.
fine.
I don't think you can be held personally or the council could be held for trying to do its best anyway.
No, I don't
whoever's
think so.
driving the vehicle is gonna be paying attention to what they're doing regardless.
Right,
Right.
yeah, and I think he's talking about the section up there where they had the Christmas lights, and everybody was parking on both sides of the road in the middle of the night, and it was dark.
Right,
Miles.
right.
Yeah, so, there is, I mean, if there were an accommodation for off-street parking close by, that might help too, but, I think as I've seen it, there gets to be a lot of things out front, then they have to park in the road right away.
Sounds
That's where sometimes the issue is.
sounds to me too like I'm sure that Nancy would be able to go ahead if it was to continue on. It sounds like for the folks that have been coming in for years now have a pretty clear understanding of how to park safely in and out. So if we maybe try to, just
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to take
still in the
accept
public
section
We're still in the public hearing.
on the
still in
public hearing part.
so I got to
Yeah.
close that before you can make
Hold
the
on,
motion.
hold on.
I'd make a recommendation then to actually strike section 60, 70 dash, can't do it now?
No.
No.
No,
Alright,
public hearing.
Fine.
Hang on, let me close.
Hold on, hold on.
If we're all set with the public hearing, I think we have a general direction that one of our councils is going to go, and we probably are all going to agree. But is there anybody else who wants to? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing now. Alan, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Put a period after
Yeah.
number 6, requirements of this section, and strike exception section 70-60, 15, 2 and 5, and that will fix this issue, and I'd make that motion.
I'm going to second. Oh, you going to second it?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, good.
Did you get all that, Twyla?
So you're striking,
Basically, what that basically does in that regard is that the council, based on the recommendation of the town manager that we just heard here associated with this case tonight, the effect is they'll make conditions that we can't do something on 2 of the items. Now you have the carte blanche to be able to authorize somebody to make this and be done with it.
I was just looking for the ordinance.
I'm in 70-1,
Page 56.
page 56 of the packet, section B, striking anything after section.
Say that again, 70-1, and you're where?
6.
Number 6, the bottom of the page.
Oh, under 70-615, okay.
Yep.
B2 and 5.
And the sentence will read, "The town council, upon the recommendation of the town manager, may grant an exception to an operator that will conduct a used merchandise sale on a limited basis from any of the requirements of this section, period."
Okay, got it.
Okay, period.
And that's been
Got it.
seconded by Counselor Bickford. All right, and then we'll, if you're gonna,
Great. We ready to vote on this one?
let me go back to find that, 'cause
Sure.
which is that one? That's, the last one in this section? Okay, yard sales. Okay. The This is a second reading, so a roll call vote is required.
Okay,
And are you ready for the roll call
I'm
vote?
ready.
All right. Counselor Albert,
Yay.
and Counselor Bickford,
Yay.
and Counselor Crafts,
This is not here.
absent, and Counselor Ward,
Yay.
and Counselor McTevier,
Yes.
and Counselor Brunel,
Yes.
and Counselor Colby.
No.
We have 5 yeas, 1 nay. The order does pass.
How do you feel about that, Nancy? How do you feel about that? Thanks for coming in.
Now,
Thank you all very much.
as a clarification question, do we now have to grant her authorization, so second motion to be able to do that? And do I need to,
Process is done, isn't it? Lynn?
It's a permitting process, right? Yeah.
so you just need to go see Dennis and we waive the process from there?
Okay, ball cap.
That's what I was
Code
just,
enforcement
I was just
officer.
I was looking for direction so we know how to be able to resolve this. Right,
So we just want to make sure you understand.
right,
During,
right.
in 21 days? Okay, so
Right.
Can't do it with
Let's
21.
go, yeah.
She's got the three sales, exactly.
21, it's
Yes.
effective in 21 days. So
we got time
don't-
to be able
Don't
to
show
do
up to see Dennis tomorrow because he won't be able to help you out.
Right.
Excellent.
Thank you now.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Is audience participation and response for agenda items?
Anyone? Next item.
Is the consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have an item removed may do so now. Order 2016-160 to approve the minutes of July 5 and an off-premise catering permit for the Slovak Catholic Association's annual picnic.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Hold on.
All in favor?
Order passed 6-0. And I'll pass this around for your signatures.
Next item.
Next item. Under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances, Order 2016-161, the forfeiture funds, taser purchase.
Okay, this is my first time doing this, so
Second.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Second now, you're right.
Second.
Yeah, that's
See,
right.
you're an old pro.
We got you over your nervousness right out of the gate by calling
I
on
got a
you.
phone call this afternoon on this, but this has been near and dear actually to my heart for a long time actually. Right now, currently, the police department has 2 tasers. They're called Taser X2s that can deploy 2 cartridges, and they also have high-definition cameras, which I feel is very important, especially nowadays, to have a camera on a tool like that. With anything that's electrical or mechanical, they break, and there has been times where we had to send it back to the factory, and it takes weeks to get it back. Then we're down to only 1 taser. There is 1 or 2 patrolmen on, depending on the time of day, okay? But there's also a supervisor on during the day, and there's a supervisor on the evening. There have been times where myself or another supervisor, because obviously we always give them to the patrol guys first, but I've myself responded to calls not having a taser on me. And trust me, years ago, they didn't carry tasers. They carried a sidearm and magazines and handcuffs. But with nowadays, times are changing, and lawsuits are more prevalent than ever, and there's a lot more going on. We all see it in the news. I can say, you know, the officers I work with, weekly we respond to suicidal calls where people are suicidal. Myself, I've been to calls where people have shot themselves, still been alive, had a gun in their hand, and not dropped it, didn't have a taser on me. And we went hands-on to disarm the person. I myself have brought people to St. Mary's Hospital that was suicidal and happened to have the taser on me that night, and then the officer in the town didn't have the taser on them. Anything can happen. It's our job as the police department is to protect the citizens and also protect ourselves. We're only asking for 1 more taser in case one goes out of service or there's a detail on in the evening where we have an OUI detail or a speed detail or whatnot. There's several different details we do. So I'm not asking, when I originally proposed this a long time ago, and when interim Chief Stewart came on, he asked, we had a supervised meeting, and he asked if anything we should bring forth. This is one of the items that came up right off the bat. I feel it's a liability. I feel that, actually, I don't feel, I know this could be a liability, you know. If, first of all, yeah, we have other tools on our belt. We have batons and we have pepper spray. Pepper spray doesn't work instantly. In the police academy, we get pepper sprayed. We have to go through a whole little combat course, actually physically go hands-on with somebody, get them into handcuffs, then run outside to a cruiser, and then call for backup. I pepper sprayed people before, and it didn't stop them. It didn't even affect them. And I've also, myself, I've never tasered anybody. However, I've been there while other people have been tasered, and it was completely justified. But it also prevented them from, the suspect from injuring themselves or an officer getting injured. We all know workers' comp can get very expensive as well. But as I said, it's one taser. If you look at a lot of the departments around here, everybody's issued tasers, not just when they come in on duty. They're very expensive. I do understand that. Can we get them cheaper than what it says for the one taser? The only place you can get a taser through is Taser International. They're the only ones that offer them. I went out and I did the research on them. It used to be different. You used to be able to get tasers through several different companies. Not anymore. It's just Taser International. But like I said, you can get it less expensive for the simple fact if you don't have the camera on there. However, I feel that the camera is a must. When you go to court, I can say, majority of the time, what went on in the heat of the moment with that person. They're going to show up to court in a suit and have the best of the best intentions, because and that's their right. But it's great to be able to have video evidence of exactly what happened, because it saves money for the town in the long run for court, liability for lawsuits and everything else. So I understand it is expensive. I believe forfeiture money would be the place to take that from, instead of having to go to the residents and telling them to put in their tax bill. I have family in town as well. So any questions?
No, you gave us a good answer. You
All right.
got a lot of bases.
Thanks.
It's all forfeiture, basically forfeiture money.
Yeah, I recommend that, and Interim Chief Stewart recommends that it come right out of forfeiture money.
Thank you.
No brainer.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Need a motion?
I make a motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item.
Order 2016-162, the loader bond.
Comes Ryan.
Good evening, again. Seems like we're just here. As part of the 2016-2017 budget discussions, we discussed the need to replace the loader that's at the transfer station. It's a 1999 case. It was originally in service at the Public Works Department, and then got shifted up to the transfer station when we bought a new loader the last time, which was 2009. The loader is in need of some significant repairs. It's got excess of 10,000 hours, and it's just time to replace it. Unfortunately, it's above the current purchasing policy amount, where we can just put it out to bid, so it doesn't require a referendum vote, which is why we're here today, just to ask permission to, I don't even know what the process is, but get the ball
Engage with
rolling.
bond counsel.
Get the ball rolling on this particular item.
I make a motion.
There it is.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item.
Order 2016-163, road bond.
Look at that, he never moved.
Yeah, I'll be here for a couple. Same story, different verse. During the budget season, we talked about 3 roads that we had identified as being candidates for our reclaim project. Each one of those roads, the estimates for the initial, just the reclaim and paving part, was excess, again, of 150,000 and excess of 250,000. So even if any changes are made, we'd still be going to referendum. But our recommendation at this point is to put a referendum question to the voters of $1.5 million to be able to rebuild. I'll say rehab, because it's not going to be a traditional rebuild where you excavate down and that whole 9 yards. But basically to rehab Bodenham Road, Summer Street, and Gould Road. The initial estimates were right around $1.2 million to do the reclaim and paving portion for those. We asked for additional funds as part of the bond in order to be able to, there's a section on Summer Street right by the sewer department where it's really, I don't know the right word, but it's starting to
Washing right into the river.
slide right down into there, and so similar to what they did on Route 9, I'm not sure what the fix is gonna be there, but to have some engineering work, I think it's gonna be a matter of putting big rocks there and supporting the slope, but again, to be able to have some engineering work done and then culvert replacements and whatnot, as well as having a contingency if, depending on what the prices come in, once, we actually get to put these projects out to bid.
The other end of Summer Street isn't much better.
No, that one's probably gonna
It's
require.
farther from the river, though.
That was on slide
Farther from the river, that's right. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
In favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item?
Order 2016-164, the Public Works Cab and Chassis.
In your packets, you have all the detailed information. We went out to bid for the 2017 cab and chassis to replace one of the Sterlings. We received quite a few bids, which was nice. And the low bidder was Freightliner and Western Star of Maine for $81,872. We had originally anticipated a budget of $90,000 for the cab and chassis. And we'd like permission to award the bid to Freightliner, but to leave the awarded amount at the $90,000 mark, because I'd like to be able to discuss with them extended warranty, as well as some other little minor tweaks that I didn't pick up on the initial bid spec. One of them is very simple: tilt and telescoping steering wheel, steering column. It's not an item that I put in the bid spec. It's something that we've got on the last truck. It's been very nice to have, so it's a minor add-on, but be able to give us a little bit of flexibility when we sit down with the builders to be able to know that we're getting exactly what we want.
It's always good to have, because you may have a different guy in there.
Yeah.
Big guys, little guys.
Yep.
So this is gonna be a two-part. You'd want to award the bid to Freightliner and Western Star in the amount of $81,872, but allow us to seek financing not to exceed the $90,000, so
you.
that he can do the others,
Right.
other work that he just
The
mentioned.
warranty part, too. is
Right.
very important.
How much of a warranty, extended
think,
warranty do you get?
Can I put Brian on the spot? Just a little bit. Brian is here from Western Star, but when we
Sure,
did
he
this
doesn't work for
before-
us.
Pardon?
Sure, he doesn't work for us. Do it.
When we did it before, it was right around $5,000, I believe, for a 5-year extended warranty.
It depends.
Dollars may change, but I mean, that was transmission, emissions and motor.
It depends on what you purchase, it's all staggered. So if you buy a 5-year, 100,000 on the engine, it's like, don't quote me, it was like $2,500, and the transmission's another 500 or 600. And then if you want to stagger it up from there, there are other warranties available.
We had done this last
Good
year, and
idea.
we'd gone back after the fact on the sewer cleaning truck, which is also a Freightliner. We'd done the same thing
Yep.
after the fact, so.
Two-parter.
And I have another quick question after you vote, so, no.
Oh, okay, after, okay, so, need somebody to make the motion.
Like that.
I'll
He
make
doesn't
the
wa-
motion to accept the bid for Freightliner for $81,872.
Not to exceed 90 grand.
No, that's
Oh,
a
no, no,
two-part.
it's okay,
That's
you
the
got it.
first part.
Yeah, it's okay,
And
so go ahead.
Second.
And
You-
seek count, is that go in the same motion? And seek financing not to exceed the 90?
No, I think
That's
they're
a
two
separate
separate
motion.
things.
We'll do this one first, and then
Yeah,
you read the
they're
resolution
two separate
after.
things. So I'll start that over. Need a motion, Cassie?
I make the motion to accept the bid for Freightliner and Western Star of Maine for $81,872.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Great. And there's also another, do I do the next item or same part of?
Resolution for
Thank
your
you.
financing not to exceed the 90,000. It reads as follows: the town of Lisbon is hereby authorized to lease, purchase, or borrow up to the aggregate principal amount not to exceed 90,000 at a tax-exempt interest rate not to exceed the current market at the time of the execution of the agreement. The term of the agreement may not exceed 7 years. The finance director or treasurer may execute a promissory note and related lease purchase loan documents to a qualified lender for the acquisition of a 2017 Freightliner 108 SD from FTL and WS of Maine, the bid for which was awarded by vote of the Lisbon Town Council on Council Order 2016-164 on July 19th, 2016. The finance director treasurer is authorized to execute and deliver the promissory note and related lease purchase or loan documents along with an essential use certificate. So a motion to adopt the resolution as read is in order.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
All in favor? Order passed, 6-0.
So I may ask a quick question.
Go ahead.
And I apologize for not putting this on the agenda, but in light of this bid award, I would also like to seek permission to go out to bid for the body installation on the truck once it's done. So allow me to get that RFP started so I can go out to bid to get the dump body swapped from the truck that we're taking out of service and put onto the new cabin chassis once we take delivery of that.
Is that something we have to suspend the rule, or is that allowed to be able to do for motion now?
Because it wasn't on the agenda.
Is it related to the same item?
It is.
Well, it is.
Then I make the motion, just as he said, to
So
allow him to at least pursue the RFP.
I'm just asking for permission to go out to
No,
bid.
exactly.
Yeah, no,
Exactly
that-
right.
it makes, yeah, and I think, I just want to make sure from a rules perspective that we're tied in doing it right. So,
Sounds good.
there's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Good question.
No.
All
It
right.
took me a little while to process
So-
what you were saying.
Using the same dump body off of the previous truck.
Next item, please.
I'm not gonna correct you, I screwed up the first time.
Order 2016-165, the sale of town property culverts.
I should have put the culverts in the dumpster before I let them sit on the side of the road for as long
Yeah.
as they did. But now we've had a request, someone wants to
Pick
take
our
one of the
garbage.
culverts that we removed from Moody Road, and it's technically town property, was originally gonna go in the scrap metal pile to be hauled off for scrap metal revenue. So now I'm here.
Before we bid on this, can I ask? It's not my husband, was it?
No,
Okay, good.
we're good.
So somebody wants to purchase a culvert?
That's it.
ultimately?
Someone wants to take a culvert.
Take a
And the
culvert.
recommendation is if the council doesn't have a problem with us giving him the culvert, then I'll go weigh it, find out what it would have been for scrap value, have him pay us that amount, and get rid of
Be
it.
the fair way to do it.
No, makes sense.
And then we'll have them, whoever it is, pay us first. That way it becomes their property when they remove it.
I like the way
It's
you
no
think.
longer
Yeah, I
ours.
like the way you think. Need,
I'll
anybody
make the
else?
motion.
All right. I was gonna say it, but I just want to see if anybody else on this side had anything to say, Roger. So Roger's got the motion. Who's got the second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Order passed. Oh, let's see, all opposed? Were you in favor? I couldn't see your hand.
I am not opposed, no.
Okay. 6-0, then yes. Okay.
I'm not opposed, so
All
long as
right.
he's not coming to my house.
Exactly. That was-
Thank you, Ryan. Next item?
Order 2016-166, the personnel policy amendments.
We have several amendments to make here on the personnel policy. The first one is in regards to background checks. And we currently have our background checks through the state at no cost to the town. And since we do it through the state and we don't have to pay for them, we are not allowed to present copies of the backgrounds to the applicant. They have to go directly to the state to get the copy, which is, our personnel policy says just the opposite. So we need to remove that language from the personnel policy because that's not how we do it now. So that's just cleaning up the policy. The second one is in regards to pay periods for direct deposits and for the payout of, in lieu of the health insurance, it's the health insurance buyout. Prior practice was we would pay that out biannually, and we changed that practice because of employees getting done, and we had already paid out that benefit. So we're treating this now on a bi-weekly, or monthly, actually. No, actually, it's bi-weekly basis, because that's how we would have done it for the health insurance. You pay it by the month, and if the employee gets done, then, you know, you no longer cover them for when they're not working. But if you've already paid out that benefit to them for not taking the health insurance, you're out the money if they no longer work for you. So we're making a change in the policy to go by the way we are paying that out now. And some people have, and there's not an issue with it for the people. We're doing it bi-weekly. And the vacation time is to allow me an exception to the maximum carryover limit when an employee was unable to use vacation time for reasons beyond the employee's control. We have a situation right now, but the policy doesn't allow me to carry over more than 40 hours. And if it's beyond the employee's control because we don't have coverage in order to allow that employee to go on vacation, it doesn't seem right that they lose some of that vacation time. So it would only be reasons beyond their control. So it would have to be the employer-related reason that they couldn't take vacation. So we just want to add some language.
What's the amount? I'm just curious, then, citing the example. So you said 40 is the max going to be carried over, this particular example that you cited without giving too much detail.
I think it's 51 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's how much, I can't remember actually.
Ballpark is
It's
fine.
not that much, no. Health insurance, whoops, I went the wrong way. I was talking about the health insurance buyout, and that was down 90.33. The 90.155, I went out of order, I'm sorry about that, is about the direct deposit. And we cannot guarantee that that's going to be covered by 11:30 a.m. because it depends on when we get the signatures from council and when we do actually cover that. There's a lag time. That 11:30 a.m. was back when we were doing manual checks. Everything's electronic now, so we can't guarantee that it's going to be covered by 11:30 a.m.
Good when it was manual.
Yep.
When is,
I don't like to
what is the, what,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, man.
I gathered that, Chris, thank you. Explain the 48 hours. I was really not clear on that piece of it. What's the intent of the fix to address that, Diane, I guess?
So I'm just reading this here. So when we have to do a fix on a payroll, because it's electronic, we cannot guarantee that it will, we can make it within 24 hours because of the transfer of funds.
Right.
So what we want to do is change it to say that we'll make it at the earliest possible time. Ed, can you explain that more, how long it takes to cover a payroll?
Good evening, Ed Karras, Finance Director. Basically, we need to get the ACH file in at least 24 hours in advance of the funds being available. So typically for a payroll that runs on Thursday, I've got to get it in usually by Tuesday evening, very early on Wednesday in order to make it available. There are times when we end up having to do an extra payroll run or make a correction, and we can't execute it in time for the Thursday payment. So this will provide us
The correction,
The
not the
correction.
whole payroll that goes on.
No,
No.
the correction.
correction.
Right,
that's
see,
the piece I
current
was missing.
language says that we will
Correction.
make that correction within 24 hours. We
Okay.
cannot do that with an electronic
Right,
payroll.
okay, that's
Manual
what I
check,
was
we
missing
could,
in that.
but non-electronic. I hear you.
I don't see it happening, Chris, but I hear you.
I know.
I'm not sure
I-
why they asked our opinion about it, because we were asked about how we felt about it, and all of us said
Yes,
no, and it still
yes.
went that way, so.
No, that's, thank you. You got what I was looking for in that regard. It's the lag time in the payroll processing to be able to make the ACH, because you gotta
Correct.
deal with their requirements for uploading for the day that you want it to be intended to be. I
Exactly.
got that now. Thank you. That's what I was missing.
Thank you.
And then the last change is on the retirement. For some reason in our personnel policy, the language is the regulations of the retirement system regarding the eligibility of an employee, which is at least 15 hours of work. That's not our eligibility requirements. We offer offer Main State retirement to those who are permanent employees that work 30 or more hours a week. So we need to strike that language and put in what's in our personnel policy that says a permanent employee who regularly scheduled work week is 30 hours or more are offered the Maine State Retirement, or Maine PERS. What was in there for some odd reason is the eligibility requirements of the Maine State Retirement System. But we can have different eligibility requirements
Then what Maine
than
PERS?
what Maine PERS has. They're just telling you that at least 15 hours, no less than that. Well, at least 15 hours per week. So anybody that works, that's a regular employee that works less than 15, they cannot be offered retirement through the retirement system.
I get it from their perspective. There's no downside to them. It's income
Right.
that's goes into
Right.
the system on somebody's behalf.
But we're just trying to
Right.
clean
No, I
up
get the
these
formality.
inconsistencies, because if you look back, well, you don't have the whole personnel policy, but it does tell us who's eligible for benefits and how many hours they work, which is
Just-
not consistent with this language here.
When we're looking at this, and I know I went to see Diane earlier on this topic, guys, just what we're deciding here is formalizing what is on the town side.
Right.
No impact to anything
But this
on the
has no
school side.
impact to the school
Other than
at
the
all.
fact is if somebody on the school side is also on the municipal side, we may actually have to remit if they're actually a contributor on the
Right,
school side. That's
right.
the only time that
That
it will
would be the
overlap.
only time, because they're full-time with their, right, because they fall under the school's eligibility requirements.
Which is set
and
by the
because
school
they work
committee,
for
not
us,
us.
we have to take retirement out of them, yes.
Okay. That's my work understanding associated
Yep.
with this too, and as long as anything we're doing here has no impact on
Right,
the other side,
yeah. It doesn't,
I'm good with it.
no.
Yep, so I think I echo Alan there. It sounds to me like we're just handling
We're
it from
just
the
cleaning
municipality
up,
side.
yep.
And the school is of their own entity and operating
Mm-hmm.
as such and can operate with the understanding that they could still offer main purse to employees that they have at 15
Right.
hours. Okay?
Yeah, because in that regard, I mean, what we're doing is we're formalizing the 30 hours that's always been in play on our side,
Yeah, and that's,
irregardless of them originally saying the 15 hours that was the main PERS. I get the striking. It's just my concern when I went to see Diane was what's the potential amongst the custodial and municipal staff over on the school side with the reduced hours if they're in a difference compliance. But everything that I've heard to date says the fact that it is their decision, their own rules.
Right.
So no issue here.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern too, the impact to staff that, I'll just use the.
Yeah.
You gotta
yeah.
forgive me on that one. My mother was a lunch lady. So we're
So
not,
those
we're
are,
not going
those
there.
are usually the staff members that are at the lower end of the pay scale to begin
Right.
with, so to be included in, or have been paying into main PERS.
the problem we're encountering right now with the language where it is, it's really confusing, because people that are working between 15 and 30 think that they can join the retirement system here, which is not what our policy says. You have to work 30 or more hours, and that's the way we've always treated it since the town's been in the Maine State
The only way that that
Retirement
would actually work in that regard is if they're also a school department employee and their
Exactly.
standard is lower, we would be obligated to remit our wages.
Exactly, that's right.
So
And we
that-
do that now.
Right.
We actually do
Right.
that,
That
yes.
brings up an interesting, so if you have somebody who wears both hats, municipal and the school side, and they work,
As long as it's a support staff in the PLD, not teacher,
not teacher, no,
not
but,
teacher.
so yeah.
but- Right,
So let's just say that event comes up and they work 15 for the, 15 for the school side and 15 for the municipality, do they qualify?
No, it's not combined. In that regard, they would have to meet the school's criteria
Right.
and be a participant, and then we
Right.
would be obligated to pick up
then
from
we
there.
would be
Great,
obligated.
I just wanted to make sure
And
that.
we do
that's
have
why I
those
was
circumstances.
hearing you, but I wanted to hear.
Yes,
yeah,
no, it's
Perfect,
muddy as heck, which
Yeah.
is, I appreciate the dialogue.
good stuff. So, is that the last one?
That's the last one.
So I guess we need a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept.
I second it.
All in
As
favor?
amended.
As amended, good call.
Order passed 6-0.
Next item.
Order
Please.
2016-167, planning contract.
This is the same contract that we've had in the last couple of years with Community Planning Studio, or Amanda Bunker, that most of you know. And it's a one-year contract, the same amount. There's been no changes in the language, and I recommend that you authorize the renewal and authorize me to sign the agreement.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All,
Want to say something first?
go ahead.
I've been around long enough, so I've been, since Amanda's been here, and I think Dawn will agree that she has been a very substantial success, maybe?
Been a big help.
Right. And she's very well worth the money.
So we're getting a good value for our
Oh,
dollar.
yes.
And all in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item, please.
Order 2016-168, the MMA annual election official ballot.
So you've got the names in front of you, and for the one-year term, you just vote for one, and there's only one there, and for the three-year term, vote for three, and there's three names there, and I would recommend that you vote for all of them as presented.
I make that motion. I don't know any of the people personally in that regard, but two of them are already on the committee, and at least we exercised our option to vote.
I'll second that. Are you gonna second it, Chris? I'll second that.
All right. Any other, no discussion? All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item, please.
Resolution 2016-169, carry forwards.
These are the normal year-end carry forwards that come to council. These are either credit or debit balances that are being carried forward. The first one is small claims. That is a debit balance for a small claim case that I submitted to the courts. That has now been paid because the person came in and paid the personal property tax. The grants match is the $50,000 that was carried forward from last year, and we spoke about that last night. The assessors services contract is the remaining amount that we owe Bill Van Tynen for the reval. So that needs to continue being carried forward. The sewer repair and maintenance of equipment, $5,000, that was carried over from last year. We haven't spent that yet because we're still trying to get somebody to do the work, and we're having a hard time finding somebody. So we'd like to keep that. The ACO carry forward is animal control officer. We have to carry that forward by state statute. Library summer reading grant is a grant we just received, and we haven't been able to expend the money at year end, so we needed to carry forward that one. The road design, I'm not sure what that is. That's been carried forward since I've been here, and I need to do a little more research on that before I lapse it. And if we find out that we can lapse it or redesignate it, I may come back to you and have you redesignate it for another purpose. The river trail is the amount left over from the river trail, and we still have, that's not closed out yet, so we need to carry forward that. I think this year we'll be able to close that out completely, hopefully. The MEPERS reserve is the amount that we received from MEPERS for our credit that we had on hand, and I want to carry that forward. Road improvement is the amount that we have set aside for the Davis Street sidewalk that we're working on. The fire truck replacement is the fire truck reserve that we carry forward every year. PD forfeiture funds, by statute, we have to carry forward those funds. The Blake Cemetery is a trust fund that must be carried forward, as the fire donation, trail donation, playground rec is a donation, the Giving Tree is a donation, heating systems is a donation, and those all need to be carried forward. And then the sewer carry forward is the balance still left over in that account that we haven't expended, but we carry forward for any emergencies. And we do have a very good undesignated fund balance in the sewer account, so at some point we're going to need to deal with that and see if we can use some of that to update our infrastructure. The expense accounts that need to be carried forward is the fire department capital project. Whatever's left in that appropriated fund goes into the account up above. That's the fire truck replacement. That's the way that is set up. Anything that has not been expended from that fund goes into the reserve. The MDOT match is the remaining balance of the work that they did last year. I have not received a final bill, so I want to carry that forward. And the wastewater treatment plant sewers, that's the amount that you've already authorized out of that account to pay for those 4 sewer studies. So we need to carry that forward. And the wastewater treatment plant radio reads, that's the amount we raised in the fiscal year 16 budget to go towards the radio equipment to read the radios for the water department. They have not done that yet. They haven't done the purchases. I don't know if they're going to or not, but I'd like to at least set that aside so we don't have to re-raise it again until they decide what they're going to do. And then on the next page are the debit and credit balances that will lapse to undesignated fund balance.
Make a motion? Need someone to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item, please, Twyla.
We did the yard sale ordinance, so we're all set with that. And it goes to other business, town manager's report.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Next item. Or no, I'm jumping the gun, yeah.
The department had written reports. If there are any questions?
Don't have any.
And the next is the presentation by the code enforcement officer.
Dennis, you are
Douglas.
up.
Council,
Evening.
I have nothing to report. Can I do that too?
You gave me a ball score.
A nice
but
try.
No, it's not gonna work.
I thought I could do it, no? All right, tried. This is just the June report. So obviously, a lot goes on every month. June was a busy month. You got the paper copies, I'm sure, so I'll just run down through it quick and answer any questions. 13 building permits issued in June, 1 for commercial business. New barbecue stand opened up down on 196. A new single-family home, which is nice to see. We're setting a record this year for new homes in Lisbon, which is good. 2 new garages, 2 mobile homes, 4 storage sheds, and 3 decks. 6 electrical permits were issued, 2 for single-family homes, a new garage, a couple service upgrades, and a mobile home. 5 plumbing permits, 1 for a new septic, 2 replacement septics, and 2 internal plumbings. 6 miscellaneous permits, which typically roof shingles, fill requests, sort of thing. So that is your permit list for June. Again, with 13 building permits, it was quite a busy June. Planning board's been busy as well. 3 cases that we closed out and approved a home daycare at 10 Hasty Street. Approved a 500-gallon fuel storage tank at ETTI. And approved a rear lot off Summer Street for Lane Curtis. Some of the stuff that's been, planning board's been working on for a while now and getting close to wrapping up. The ongoing work on the Route 9 directive from the council. The ongoing work on land use laws regarding medical marijuana and caregivers particularly. And we sent the draft yard sale, as you guys saw today, or on your second reading. So that's some of the work the planning board's been doing in June. Appeals board had 1 case, gone sometimes years without a case, and we've had 3 in the last month and a half, I think. So it was a variance request for a reduction of a side setback for a garage. It was actually denied, but they found a way to get it done, which was the proper way to begin with. So we had 1 for the appeals board in June. And on the committees, wrapped up the firing range, which is at the planning board level now. You'll be seeing that soon. So that committee's over for now. The Route 196 committee is just ongoing work with downtown revitalization and the business facade grant. So that's my June report.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So D, there's something right after Dennis.
Yep. The next is a press release we sent to the Times Record and the Sun Journal. We just wanted the council to also be aware that transparency is still alive and well in Lisbon. We stepped it up a notch this past week by adding a new feature to our website. You can now find our council meeting videos attached to our agenda and minutes. That's hosted by Clerkbase. Residents are always looking for information, and from their computers they can simply go to this agenda minutes tab on our website and click on the searchable council meeting minutes and find the video of our meetings. So we're hoping we can do that a little bit quicker. It also as a feature solves our storage and retrieval problems, and I recently learned while I attended the IIMC's conference that I took a technology session, and they had told us that in that session that DVDs have a shelf life of 3 to 5 years, and so to keep our information digital seems like it's a better venue for the town of Lisbon long term. Save some of our storage problems in addition to making the information available longer. It's a longer life.
It's a good disaster recovery strategy. I actually went to the site today after I saw the email, and so I went and I checked it out. And so I wanted to ask you this question. It's cloud-based. Is that what we're doing, is we're storing this all in the cloud?
I'm not sure. Each vendor chooses their own way to store information, I understand. I didn't ask Clerkbase if they're storing it cloud-based. It's probably on site.
Oh, it's going to be okay.
It has its backup as well.
Yeah, that's definitely, I guess that's it. More redundancy is a good thing to be able to pull that back. The fact, like you said, the transparency piece is nice too. Very good stuff. Very good
So
stuff.
we just wanted to let you know that's out there.
Awesome. Thank you. Next item, please.
Under audience participation and response for new items.
Anyone like to speak this time? Roger?
No, Larry? Quiet?
All right.
Next.
Yeah.
passive
Next item, please.
We have nothing under appointments. Council communications.
Anyone?
I have one thing, seeing how I got cut off short of my resolution. Can I have the ribbon, please, for a second?
Yes, you can.
So, with the resolution comes these little bows that people within the community are going to be hanging up, just to support our officers and let them know that the community supports them and backs them. And I don't know, do I need permission to ask to place it on town property?
I think if you just say and get
Yeah.
a consensus from the,
So there are some people who would like to, other than telephone poles, because those aren't town property, but everything else that is town property, we would like to be able to
like the
place
black
them.
light
Make 'em-
posts,
make- yeah,
decorative light.
Make a motion.
If you want to take a formal vote to do that, you can.
Sure.
Make your motion.
Make a motion.
Oh. I'd like to make a motion to be able to place blue ribbons on town property.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed.
Anyone else?
Yes, I guess. Just want to let the people out there know, in television land, that this Friday, we will be, Positive Change Lisbon will be honoring a former police chief and lieutenant in Freeport, and there are still a few tickets available. So if anybody out there would like to go, just contact Fern's La Rochelle at Fern's Body Shop. And we'd like to see you there. It'll be a good time. If you want to see your chief roasted.
Anyone else?
Yes, I got a couple. We talked last meeting during Mark's presentation regarding the River Trail and access to it. I followed up with Rick Green, and it is something that's actively being moved on the Facilities Committee. He's not opposed to it at all for the discussion, so I would direct Mark in that direction so we're not duplicating efforts accordingly.
Okay. Yep.
He's referenced the fact is that they talked about parking back in the time frame and it kind of stalled at that point, but if we can, or I specifically can come up with a scout to be able to come up with an Eagle project to make it happen, he's not opposed to that process at all. The next piece, tomorrow night, 6:30, County Building, is the caucus. Unfortunately, Roger, I cannot nominate myself, so I'm looking for one of you folks to actually attend with me to be able to make that official. So it's in our best interest because we fall under Sabattis, Wales, Lisbon, and 2 representatives. One of them has to be a council person, and Mark was the prior. I'm willing to be able to do it, but we need to have some nomination come from somebody else.
Yeah, what,
6:30 at the county building.
That's
Two-
that's in Auburn?
Yep,
At the courthouse.
courthouse,
I've been there before.
court, yes,
Strictly as a visitor, right?
exactly.
As a visitor.
Had to
No.
testify.
I had to go to, you know, to. my
Jury
property-
duty,
property-
jury
property
duty,
search.
jury
Oh,
duty, yes.
Property search, right. Okay.
6:30, but I'll be glad to meet you there. I did follow up, we made the call to the administrator for the county, and he said it would be best to actually have that come from somebody else. I expressed the fact is that was the intent of the board
Yeah.
to be able to do so, but he'd like to hear it.
Yeah, no
Yep.
problem.
Perfect.
Awesome. Anything else?
That's it, sir.
Chris? I got just a quick one. I wanted to say last night's workshop that we had right here was, I thought it was great. Had a lot of really good dialogue, moving a lot of things forward. It was exciting. The only thing I was disappointed about was I wish we would have saw more faces from this community, from the public, come out. So we would have loved to get some of your opinions and thoughts on that. But maybe next workshop. Just want to put it out there. So, next item.
There is an executive session, Order 2016-171, to go into executive session per 1 MRSA, Section 405, 6A, Personnel Matter.
All right, before I ask for a motion, I just want to let the public know that there will be no vote after this executive session. It's going to be a long one, but just want to let you know. So, someone wants to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
So we're staying then.
Stand in here.
Stand.
I'll turn everything off.
I'm going to go ahead and jump out here.
Annual summer health trust meeting, so
Yeah.
headed out tomorrow. But I have my phone and my email, so.
One of those. Maybe they
Bring a
cast
car
it.
with you?